Good morning. My name is Chuck Smith. I'm the CEO of Equality Texas. We're the largest statewide organization dedicated to full equality for LGBT Texans. This week is the beginning of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and we're here because there's a problem. We live in a country and a community where rhetoric related to racism and sexism and anti-LGBT and anti-Muslim activities are driving a level of vitriol that is causing people to be targeted for who they are. And they're being attacked and they're being beaten, some almost to the points of losing their life. And it's not acceptable. And we have to work together to ensure that we elevate and make people aware of who victims of crime are and why they're being targeted for crime, and that anti-anything is not acceptable in today, and that we have to address it. Today will be the beginning of the launch of a campaign where Equality Texas is working to raise awareness about victims of crime. And in this community, and it's not just limited to almost 20 people have been targeted or assaulted in the Oaklawn area of Dallas, but we've also had a woman beaten with a cane in Fort Worth, and a woman who was attacked, a lesbian woman who had to have her jaw wired shut in Mesquite. We've had religious discrimination in Irving and other communities. The first transgender woman in America that was murdered this year was murdered in Austin, Texas. What's happening in our state is unacceptable with the level of violence that is a result of people being targeted for who they are. We'd like to start by showing you a short video that talks about the project that we're launching today.
Live from Victory Park.
A brutal attack leaves a neighborhood shaken.
The LGBT community tonight asking for more protection.
3 gay men who have been violently attacked.
They were saying a lot of stuff like stupid fag.
I was stabbed behind my neck here, cut here on the side of my eye. I was stabbed here behind my arm as well. I think that's probably more of a defensive wound from, putting my hands up. Stabbed on my side right here.
Michael Dominguez was attacked in October 2015 after leaving a bar on Cedar Springs in Oaklawn. He collapsed in a nearby grocery store parking lot.
I said bye to the door guy. He was a guy that I'm acquainted with, so I remember waving by and I walked out. And the last thing I remember was just feeling something hit me in the back of the head and just this heat over my entire body. And then I woke up in the trauma unit.
Life was really ugly after what happened in 2011.
Burke Burnett was 26 years old when he was the victim of a hate crime near the East Texas town of Paris. He was beaten up, stabbed, and thrown into a fire.
I had lacerations above my eyebrow right here. I had third-degree burns all up and down my arm and on both sides. I had a puncture wound in the back from either a knife or a broken beer bottle. I had a huge laceration right here. I was lucky enough to get to see arrests made and convictions, and so I got to see justice done, and unfortunately I'm an anomaly in that regard. Not a lot of people that are attacked that way get to see the people that did it to them get arrested and go to jail.
He said he was healing up, he was feeling fine.
Survivors of an attack that happened in East Dallas.
Now Burke and Michael are providing emotional healing to victims of violent crime with the nonprofit organization S.O.S, survivors offering support.
We offer one-on-one counseling. Burke and I act as kind of first responders to reach out to some of these people and just say, hey, it's a whirlwind right now. You're in the eye of a storm. If you need somebody to kind of help take your hand and ground you in the middle of all this crazy, we can help you through that.
We offer help with their medical bills. We offer assistance with referring them to counselors. We offer assistance with how to talk to your detective, what to expect from the process, because whenever something like that happens to you, violent crime, if you're a survivor of a violent crime, you are shaken up.
It's about transgender bathrooms in your child's school.
In the midst of divisive rhetoric, there is an alarming increase in hate crimes in Dallas. Dallas Police and the LGBT Task Force are stepping up security in Oaklawn after at least 15 reported attacks against gay men.
We've got lights, we've got cameras, we've got support groups in place. If another attack like that happens, I know that the Dallas Oaklawn community is well prepared to respond to it.
We're living at a time where there are tremendous strides in LGBTQ rights. You know, the passing of marriage equality, states and cities are adopting equality laws for trans people protection, and that's fantastic. But I think that we're also at a point where it is completely okay to publicly vocalize a hatred for religion, a hatred for sexual orientation, a hatred for race by very, very prominent public figures, presidential candidates.
10, 15 years ago, a lot of people weren't super hopeful that we'd ever have marriage equality, and here we are. I've got a ring on my finger, I've got a husband at home, and life is really, really big and beautiful. I've got an awesome family. They are the center of my world, and so that gives me hope that the other changes that need to be made. I think we're all on the right side of history.
Vote. Vote with your heart. Vote on the side of equality and human rights, because the more that we have people enabling hatred, the more that hatred is going to manifest itself in very physical ways. I'm somebody's son. I'm somebody's brother. I'm somebody's cousin, somebody's nephew, grandchild. Everybody has somebody, and just imagine if you got a phone call saying that they're dead, they were left to bleed out on the street.
Discrimination is not a Texas value. Embrace dignity and respect for every Texan. Join Equality Texas.
We're very pleased to see the level of collaborative community response here in Dallas, standing up for the fact that discrimination is not a Texas value, and that if we work together, we can work to solve this problem. It's my pleasure now to introduce from the Dallas Police Department Officer Max Guerin.
Good morning. On behalf of Chief David O'Brien, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to bring awareness to the work being done to support the victims of crime throughout our communities. Chief Blankenbaker expressed his regret not being able to speak this morning. He's dealing with some medical issues of his own. The Dallas Police Department remains committed to a victim-centric and a community-based approach to fighting crime and addressing victims' needs. From incorporating volunteers in patrol to our robust crime watch groups, engaged citizens and vigilant stakeholders remain our biggest deterrent to crime. Since 1996, the Dallas Police Department has had representatives who work directly with the victims of crime to access benefits they might not otherwise be aware of. These benefits include, in part, the right to receive adequate protection from harm and threats of harm related to prosecution of offenders, the right to have their safety and the safety of loved ones taken into consideration by magistrates when fixing bail, and the right to be informed as to relevant court proceedings. While these rights are not all-encompassing, they are, however, vital to the well-being of those who are made to suffer at the hands of criminals in our society. Caring for victims, however, is not only a responsibility of law enforcement. To be successful, we must have the cooperation and involvement of our citizenry and groups like Equality Texas. Caring for those who have been victimized is honorable, noble, and in keeping with the highest values that we as Texans and Americans enjoy. The men and women of the Dallas Police Department remain steadfast in our partnerships with the community that we serve. And now I'd like to introduce Councilmember Adam Medrano.
Thank you. Good morning. And on behalf of the Dallas City Council, I'm glad to be here with Equality Texas and the police department, DA's office, the sheriff's office. A lot of these crimes that were committed not only happened in the neighborhood that I represent, but the neighborhood that I grew up in and still live in. Since day one, I've been very involved in trying to find out who committed these crimes, and there's only one problem: we haven't caught anybody. We don't have anybody to hold responsible for the crimes for attacking Michael. And that's something that really, truly bothers me. We have stepped up patrol. We have stepped up undercover officers in the area. I believe there have been several attacks after that. They have not been reported. I really hope these folks that have been attacked recently come out and let us know what happened to them, report their crimes. It's very important. We actually have been have new cameras, 10 cameras in place, so we have been improving security and safety. I'm very proud of the community. They have stepped up. We have increased our volunteers in patrol from 5 to about 25. Very proud of Michael and Burke for creating S.O.S. For victims. It takes a lot to do that, especially for Michael, who's been attacked, and he has to relive those moments every time he goes to those meetings. But I want to thank you, Michael, for doing that. Again, here 100%, I know that I speak on behalf of the entire City Council and the Mayor, that we are not going to put up with discrimination, any types of attacks, hate crimes, and thank the police department for everything that y'all do. Thank you. And next we're going to hear from our Sheriff, Lupe Valdez.
And I want the uniform officers behind me, all uniform officers, please come up. Please come up. There's no question that the barrier, the wall is right here, and so I always like to make sure that they're visible so you can see. Good morning, and thank you for being here. We all want a quality of life and to live in peace, but often that is not what we get. It is sometimes difficult for law enforcement to deal with victims. We are taught to serve and protect. We then have to go from aggressive work to tenderly listen to a victim. And that is often difficult for us because we want to do better. And we do our best to stop the perpetrator's action and find justice. But we work best when there are different organizations involved. As you can see, there are several organizations here involved, and we're working together. Teamwork always does better than an organization by themselves. Let me be clear. No one deserves to become a victim, no matter what race, ethnic group, what they look like, who they love, or where they worship. They do not deserve that. A beating or abuse should never be acceptable for any reason. We, as law enforcement officials, stand united in providing this message. And of course, we ask for your support in identifying anyone who chooses to take that route. Unifying forces and the community is bound to bring about better results. Thank you so much for making this visible. I now would like to introduce the DA of Dallas County, Judge Susan Hawks.
Good morning. The Dallas County District Attorney's Office will not tolerate acts of violence against any member of our community, regardless of race, gender, and sexual orientation or gender expression. It is imperative that we not only appreciate one another's but make it a priority to protect any group whose differences make them a target for violence. Our LGBT task force within the District Attorney's Office, and we do have 2 members that are here today, and the remaining members could not make it, but we have a task force that exists within our office, and we will not tolerate these types of crimes. And if an individual is charged and indicted, and we believe we can prove a hate crime beyond a reasonable doubt, then we will prosecute those crimes to the fullest extent. Our LGBT task force was created and exists to educate and bring awareness as to the sensitivity of how criminal cases involving the LGBT community are handled. And as our office is extremely proud to stand here with law enforcement and with our LGBT brothers and sisters in the community, as well as other partners, to make Dallas County safer for all of us. So thank you for being here today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Michael Dominguez, who is a survivor. I think he exemplifies an individual who is a survivor of a terrible crime that's been committed against him. And at this, he has turned something that has happened terrible and turned it into helping others. So, Mr. Dominguez.
Good
Good morning. First of all, I want to say thank you to Chuck and to Susan and everybody at Equality Texas. Thank you so much for organizing this. Thank you for making this PSA. I always say that the first step to combating discrimination and achieving equality is communication and education. We as a human race have a history of fearing and hating what we don't necessarily understand, seeing other people's experience that we could never walk in their shoes, and therefore putting up a barrier. There is no us versus them, it's us versus us. We're all human beings. We're all trying to find a place in the world, trying to find love, trying to find commonality. And so I want to thank this organization for fighting tirelessly to help achieve that here in our state. And then thank to the DPD department, everybody that is here. Over the past 6 months, I have seen this department really step up. Councilman Medrano, step up and try to bridge a gap that has been existed for a number of years within the Dallas LGBTQ community, a distrust for anybody that comes outside of that community. And I'm seeing people outside of the community banding together and really offering a hand of hope and a hand of help to say, you know, we're in this together. We want justice to be served, and we want these attacks to stop. So thank you to everybody who is here this morning. We've got a long way to go. I get asked on a daily basis why I'm continuing to speak out and why I don't just kind of sit back and heal and kind of fade into obscurity. And the fact is, if I don't speak up, who is going to? How many people before me have been attacked, have been murdered, and didn't have their voices heard and didn't have their stories told? I refuse to let this to continue to happen in a city that I have chosen to live, that I packed and moved to almost 2 years ago. This is my city now. This is my home, and this is home to tens of thousands of people that live here. Nobody should have to live in fear, regardless of age, race, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, gender. We're people, and we all deserve the same level of human respect. And so thank you to our allies that are here today helping us fight the good fight to equality. But I want to talk to my LGBTQ fellow community members. If we want equality, if we want change, we've got to start at home. We've got to do it ourselves. Equality while discriminating against somebody of a different race, discriminating against our trans brothers and sisters is not wanting equality. It's wanting preferential treatment. It's wanting privilege. And if we want people to start voting on the right side of history for us, we've got to educate ourselves, and we've got to be empathetic to each other before anybody else can be expected to do the same. So thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate all of your help and all of your support. It means a lot, not only to me, but to all of the other survivors that are living through this every single day. So thank you. Oh. Now my co-founder, Burke Burnett, not only my co-founder, an amazing guy, amazing father, and a really, really fantastic person and a personal friend. So come on up, Burke.
Good morning. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for allowing Equality Texas to kind of highlight some of the work that S.O.S. is doing. We're so proud of that, partnering with the Dallas Police Department, partnering with the DA's office, partnering with other community groups to kind of make a positive change in a really, really kind of ugly time for the Dallas LGBT community. I always hate following Michael because he's so well spoken and he hits all the points that I really, really believe in. But I want to say thank you to everyone that's in this room for being part of the solution. I think it's really tempting sometimes to kind of focus on the problem because we've got a big problem at hand, but focusing on the solutions and moving forward and working toward those is what S.O.S. is all about. We're so happy to be working with some of the survivors, connecting them with, through the help of Pat and her group here at the DPD with crime victims, helping them with medical expenses, helping them with connecting them with lawyers to be well represented, connecting them with services like counseling, connecting them with our monthly support group. I'm so proud of the work that we're doing, and I'm so honored that you all are sharing in that. Thank you. Oh, and I'm got the pleasure to introduce Steve Rudner, who is the chairman of the board of Equality Texas. Come on up, Steve.
Good morning, everyone. As we have heard and as we have seen, and as is self-evident, the root of hate crime is discrimination. And I want to speak to you briefly, not only as the chairman of the Board of Equality Texas, but also as a parent. My wife and I have 3 children, one of whom came out when he was 11 years old. And so I'd like to say to every one of you who is a parent, it is not fair, it is not just, it is not right for you to have to worry about your child being attacked simply because of who they are. That should not be acceptable to any of us. That is not a Texas value. It's not fair to have to worry about your child being attacked, but to broaden this point, it's also not fair to have to worry about your child being discriminated against in employment, in housing, in access to public services. And all of those are issues which are connected. All discrimination is connected. All hate is connected. Today we see the result of that hate, and it's got to stop. When we approach our next legislative session, and as we see members of the House and members of the Senate continuing to embrace legislation which would deny an entire community of people in this state their right, their dignity, their equality, simply because of who they are and who they love, it's time for all of us to recognize that all hate is connected and all discrimination is connected. And if we want to bring an end to incidents of violence, we also have to commit ourselves to ending discrimination in housing, in employment, in access to public services. It is all connected. It all has to stop. I'm proud and honored that Equality Texas, the largest LGBT advocacy organization in the state, spends all of its time working towards a state of equality. I would encourage all of you and welcome all of you to join us in our efforts. And at this time, I'd like to throw it open for any questions that anybody might have for any of us that have spoken. Thank you all very much for coming. Yes?
Yeah, I just want to understand what is it that you're going to be doing? I've done right along the Oakland area. There's been the attacks. What is the effort? How are you going to do it? How are you going to reduce crime?
Well, let me let some of our Sheriff, would you like to speak to that? Would you like to speak to that?
Sure. As you've seen, the department has been committed to the safety of all citizens. We have increased the patrols there in the Oak Lawn neighborhood. We saw the dramatic cessation of the attacks. What is concerning is what Councilmember Medrano mentioned, those that have not reported any offenses. We certainly want the opportunity to investigate those and put the pieces together where we can and bring those who would perpetrate these crimes to justice as quickly as we can. That's correct. That's correct.
They're all hate crimes?
No, they're not. 2 of them are hate crimes. The evidence supports that 2 of them are designated as crimes of violence, and so we continue they remain active and open, and we continue to look for the suspects.
There was a report that came out that there has been 15 attacks that haven't been reported to the police. What about this news conference, or what's going to change those people's minds come forward in the report?
You know, you've seen the efforts, and they've seen the efforts of the police department and the community groups and the cohesive partnerships that we've been able to form. I think that speaks volumes to the level of commitment and to what we're willing to do and need to do, quite frankly. And I would simply encourage those victims that may be out there, in the strongest words possible, give us the opportunity to hear what you have to say, to investigate those crimes, and help us put the pieces together to solve the offenses.
Now, putting more officers in that specific area, would that make you take away officers from different areas to focus on that particular one? I mean, we've been doing a lot of stories on the issues of shortage of officers. Is that a concern for you? Is that something that we can see?
You know, it's something that we take into consideration, obviously, with deployment of personnel. We prioritize issues, and we do our best to put officers in the places where crime is occurring to address those problems as best we can. Thank you.